Whispers of the Forgotten. The Galactic Commonwealth spanned three spiral arms and unified over 2,000 species under a banner of peace, prosperity, and advancement. Their histories stretch back millions of years, with countless civilizations rising and falling across the cosmic tapestry. Among their oldest legends, whispered in shadowy corners of ancient libraries and taught as cautionary tales to ambitious young officers, were stories of a species called humans. In these tales, humans were described as paradoxes, physically unimpressive yet unnaturally resilient, technologically primitive but tactically brilliant, compassionate in peace yet merciless in war. The stories claimed this species had once dominated a significant portion of what was now Commonwealth space before vanishing mysteriously. Some versions said they had destroyed themselves in a cataclysmic war. Others insisted they had transcended physical form. The most popular version held that the ancient races, fearing human expansion, had united to eradicate them. Whatever the truth, humans were relegated to myth, useful primarily as bogeymen in political rhetoric or as villains in entertainment. No archaeological evidence confirmed their existence. No genetic markers survived in any known species. The Commonwealth's scientific authorities had officially classified humans as legendary entities without historical basis over 3 centuries ago. Commander Trazix of the Commonwealth exploration vessel Boundless Curiosity had no reason to question this classification until the anomalous readings appeared on his sensors during a routine survey of the Persis Void, a vast, largely empty region at the edge of Commonwealth space. Analysis complete, Commander reported Science Officer Lena, her luminescent skin pulsing with pale blue light, a sign of confusion among her species. The signal pattern doesn't match any known Commonwealth or foreign signature. It's structured, clearly artificial, but uses frequencies and modulation methods that haven't been documented in our archives. Trezix's 4 eyes blinked in sequence, a gesture of contemplation. The Persis Void had remained unexplored due to strange gravitational distortions that made navigation hazardous. Now something was broadcasting from within it. Could it be remnants of a lost civilization? Ancient automated systems, perhaps, he asked. Unlikely, Lena's tendrils twitched as she reviewed the data. The signal is dynamic, responsive to environmental variables. Whatever generates it is active and operational. Curiosity overrode caution. Trazix ordered a course adjustment, sending the Boundless Curiosity deeper into the void. Commonwealth protocol dictated that mysterious signals should be investigated with extreme caution. Knowledge was power, and the Commonwealth had built its dominance on collecting both. 3 days later, they found the source. By the first light, whispered Navigation Officer Krell as the view screen displayed their discovery. That's impossible. A massive orbital structure hung in space before them, not the sleek crystalline architecture of Commonwealth design, nor the organic, flowing forms of the known foreign powers. This was something else entirely, functional, angular, built with obvious purpose rather than aesthetic consideration. Around it moved ships of similar design, their hulls scarred by what appeared to be weapons fire and cosmic radiation. "They're responding to our hails," Communications Officer Vex announced, surprise evident in his modulated voice. "Audio only. Translators are having difficulty. Wait, they're transmitting in an ancient trade language. Compatibility at 63%. Put it through," Trazix ordered, straightening his posture as though the strangers could see him. A voice emerged from the speakers, flat, unmodulated, yet with unmistakable authority. "Commonwealth vessel, you have entered restricted space. Identify your purpose or withdraw immediately." How did they know they were a Commonwealth vessel? Trazix wondered. The Boundless Curiosity hadn't broadcast any identification. "This is Commander Trazix of the Commonwealth exploration vessel Boundless Curiosity. We detected your signals and came to investigate. We mean no harm and seek only knowledge. May I ask whom I am addressing?" A pause followed, stretching uncomfortably long. Finally, the voice returned. "You're addressing Captain Alina Vega of the Earth Defense Force vessel Reckoning. Your Commonwealth designated this region as forbidden space in the Accords of Separation. Your presence here violates those terms." Trazix's respiratory passages constricted. Accords of Separation? Earth Defense Force? The implications sent cold dread through his circulatory networks. "I believe there has been a misunderstanding," he responded carefully. "We have no records of any Accords of Separation, nor of an Earth Defense Force. Perhaps if we could meet." "Your Commonwealth wouldn't have records," the voice interrupted. "That was part of the deal. We stay beyond the void, you pretend we never existed. Since you've broken that agreement by coming here, I suggest you return to your territories immediately and inform your council that humanity remembers the terms, even if they've chosen to forget." Humanity, the mythical species. Trazix felt his world tilting on its axis. "With respect, Captain Vega, humanity is considered a legend in our histories. If you are indeed human, this discovery changes everything we understand about Not a request, Commander. Vega cut in. You have 30 minutes to clear this sector before we consider your presence an act of aggression. The transmission ended abruptly. On the view screen, several of the angular ships had changed position, now clearly oriented toward the boundless curiosity. Orders, Commander, asked Krell, his voice strained. Trazix hesitated only briefly. Set course for Commonwealth space, maximum sustainable speed, and prepare a priority transmission to High Command. Classification, existential. As the boundless curiosity retreated, long-range sensors detected dozens more ships emerging from concealed positions throughout the region. Humanity wasn't just real. They possessed a substantial military force hiding at the edge of known space, and they clearly harbored no love for the Commonwealth. The Commonwealth High Council received Trazix's report with initial disbelief, followed by growing alarm. Emergency sessions were convened, ancient archives unsealed, retired diplomats and historians consulted. Within days, a grim picture emerged. Humanity had indeed existed, had indeed been powerful, and the Commonwealth's predecessors had indeed attempted to eradicate them. Not entirely successfully, it now appeared. The High Council dispatched a diplomatic flotilla to the Persis Void, hopeful that centuries-old grievances could be resolved peacefully. The flotilla never returned. 1 month after Trazix's discovery, long-range observatories detected a massive fleet emerging from the Persis Void. Hundreds of ships of various sizes, all bearing the angular, functional design of the vessels Trazix had encountered. They moved with precision in tight formation, broadcasting no messages, responding to no hails. The fleet bypassed the Commonwealth's outer defense networks with disturbing ease, as though they already knew the patrol routes and sensor blind spots. 3 Commonwealth battle groups moved to intercept them near the Caldera Nebula, confident in their superior technology and numbers. The engagement lasted less than 6 hours. When it ended, the Commonwealth had lost 87% of its committed forces. The human fleet continued its advance, having suffered minimal losses. High General Morven, the Commonwealth's supreme military authority, watched the battle recordings in stunned silence alongside the members of the High Council. The humans fought unlike any adversary they had encountered in recorded history. They didn't rely on the elegant shield harmonics or gravitic weaponry that formed the backbone of Commonwealth military doctrine. Instead, they employed crude kinetic weapons, electromagnetic pulse systems, and nuclear warheads, technologies the Commonwealth had abandoned millennia ago as inefficient and barbaric. Yet these primitive weapons proved devastatingly effective against Commonwealth defenses, which had been optimized to counter the threats posed by known powers. The humans also displayed tactical flexibility that bordered on prescience, adapting their formations and attack patterns faster than Commonwealth command systems could respond. "They've been watching us," Morven concluded grimly, "studying our weaknesses, our patterns, our technological dependencies. They've had centuries to prepare for this moment. But what do they want?" asked Counselor Zephyr, her crystalline form vibrating with distress. "If they sought vengeance, why wait so long? Why hide beyond the void instead of striking when we were weaker?" The answer came 3 days later when the human fleet established orbit around Meridian, an important agricultural world near the Commonwealth's core systems. Rather than bombarding the planet as feared, they transmitted a message, not to the planetary authorities, but system-wide, ensuring every Commonwealth citizen would receive it. The face that appeared on billions of screens throughout Commonwealth space belonged to a human female, her skin a medium brown, her hair black and cropped short. Her expression conveyed neither hatred nor triumph, only resolute determination. "People of the Commonwealth," she began, "I am Admiral Helena Vega of the Earth Defense Force. For over 900 years, humanity has maintained the terms of the Accords of Separation. We stayed beyond the Persis Void. We did not interfere in Commonwealth affairs. We allowed ourselves to become legends in your histories. In return, your ancestors promised that the Commonwealth would never again seek our extinction. 3 weeks ago, that promise was broken when your vessels entered our territory and scanned our defensive installations. We have not come for vengeance or conquest. We have come to ensure our continued existence. The Commonwealth must acknowledge humanity's right to exist, formally renounce the genocidal actions of its predecessors, and establish lasting diplomatic relations that will prevent future conflicts. You have 3 standard days to send authorized representatives to Meridian for negotiations. If you choose war instead, understand this: we have spent centuries preparing for a fight we hoped would never come. We will not be erased from history again." The transmission ended, leaving the Commonwealth in chaos. Historical records were unsealed, revealing truths long hidden. How the precursor states to the Commonwealth had indeed attempted to exterminate humanity after a series of territorial disputes escalated beyond diplomacy. How billions had died before a desperate final agreement, the Accords of Separation, had allowed the human survivors to retreat beyond the Persis Void, where gravitational anomalies would shield them from detection. The Commonwealth had honored these accords by burying all evidence of humanity's existence, transforming a species into myth, while the humans had used their isolation to rebuild, advance, and prepare for the day when the fragile peace might shatter. Now that day had arrived, and as the High Council debated their response, a human fleet maintained its perfect formation around Meridian. A silent reminder that legends sometimes return, carrying the weight of forgotten history in their wake. The Reckoning. The Commonwealth capital world of Action Prime had never seen such chaos. Emergency planetary shields, last activated during the swarming 3 centuries ago, hummed with energy above gleaming spires and sprawling arcologies. Military vessels formed defensive patterns in high orbit, their crews grimly aware of how little protection they might provide if the human fleet decided to attack. Inside the Grand Assembly Chamber, representatives from across Commonwealth space argue with increasing desperation. The 3-day deadline set by the humans would expire in less than 6 hours, and still, no consensus had been reached. "We cannot negotiate with these invaders," thundered Ambassador Krell of the Utheran Confederation, his spiral horns flaring with indignation. "Acknowledge them? Grant them diplomatic status? They emerge from myth and immediately threaten our worlds." "They haven't threatened anyone," countered Diplomatic Minister Celine, her translucent form pulsing with urgency. "They've occupied one agricultural world without firing a shot and requested negotiations. It's we who fire first at Caldera." "After they destroyed our diplomatic flotilla," Krell shot back. "We have no confirmation of that," Celine insisted. "The flotilla's destruction is assumed, not proven. And given what we've learned about our history with humanity, can we blame them for being cautious?" High Chancellor Thorin raised all 4 of his hands, calling for order. As the assembly quieted, he turned to the ancient being seated in the chamber's most honored position, Archivist Primus, awakened from stasis for the first time in 3 centuries due to the crisis. "Reverend Archivist," Thorin said, his voice echoing through the vast chamber, "you have reviewed the sealed records. You have seen what our ancestors did and what they hid. Tell us, what course does history suggest we take?" Primus rose slowly, his crystalline body crackling faintly with the movement. At over 4,000 years old, he was one of the few living beings who had existing memory files that potentially contained direct knowledge of humans before they passed into legend. "I have completed my analysis of the restricted archives," the ancient being intoned, his voice resonating with harmonics that conveyed solemnity. "What I found there is shameful. The attempted extinction of humanity was not a necessary war, as later histories claimed. It was a calculated elimination of a potential rival." Murmurs of disbelief rippled through the assembly. The precursor nations to our Commonwealth feared humanity's rapid advancement and expansion. While technologically behind many older species, humans displayed an unprecedented capacity for adaptation and innovation. Models projected that within a few centuries, they would surpass most established powers. Prime Minister Crystalline form dimmed slightly, an expression of regret. Rather than risk this outcome, the Galactic Concord, as it was then called, staged a series of provocations, manipulated evidence, and eventually launched what they termed a preemptive security action against human space. Billions died in the initial strikes. Entire worlds were rendered uninhabitable. The assembly chamber fell completely silent. The humans fought back with unexpected ferocity and ingenuity. What was planned as a swift operation became a protracted war of attrition. Eventually, facing mounting losses and internal dissent, the Concord offered terms. The humans could retreat beyond the Persis Void, taking whatever they could salvage. In return, they would be left in peace, and all records of their existence would be purged to prevent future conflicts. This was the foundation of our Commonwealth, asked a representative from the outer systems, horror evident in her voice. "A genocide and a cover-up. Not the foundation," Primus clarified, "but a shameful chapter our founders chose to erase rather than confront. The Accords of Separation were sealed at the highest level, known only to the Supreme Council each generation. Even I was permitted only partial access to these records during my active service." High Chancellor Xorin stepped forward again. "Then our course seems clear. We must acknowledge this historical wrong and meet the humans' terms for negotiation. We cannot compound the errors of our past. And if they demand reparations, territory, technology, challenge Krell. Where does appeasement end?" Before Xorin could respond, the chamber's emergency communications system activated. The stern face of Fleet Admiral Torres appeared on the central display. "Chancellor, Council members, we have detected a massive translocation event at the edge of the system. The human fleet has arrived." Displays throughout the chamber showed the emerging human armada, not the 100 or so vessels that had occupied Meridian, but thousands of warships of varying designs, all bearing the same angular, functional aesthetic. They formed a perfect hemisphere around the outer system, cutting off all retreat paths. They're broadcasting system-wide, Torres reported, his professional demeanor barely concealing his alarm. The displays shifted to show Admiral Helena Vega again. This time, she stood on what appeared to be the command deck of her flagship, surrounded by other humans at various stations. Their controlled efficiency was unnerving. "People of the Commonwealth," she began, "your deadline expires in 5 hours. We have brought the full strength of humanity's defense force to ensure that whatever decision you make, it will be final. We will not return to the shadows. We will not allow ourselves to be forgotten again." Her eyes seemed to stare directly at each being watching the transmission. 900 years ago, your ancestors tried to erase us from existence. When that failed, they tried to erase us from memory. We had centuries to consider what justice would look like for such crimes. The assembly held its collective breath. "Here is what we have decided. We do not seek vengeance. We do not want your territories or your resources. We want recognition, security, and assurance that history will not repeat itself." Admiral Vega's expression softened slightly. "Many generations have passed since the original crime. Most of your species had no knowledge of what was done to us. We do not hold the children accountable for the sins of their ancestors, but we do require acknowledgement and atonement." She gestured, and the view expanded to show a document displayed beside her. "These are our terms: formal recognition of humanity as a sovereign power, establishment of permanent diplomatic relations, mutual defense agreements, unrestricted access to Commonwealth historical archives to restore the true record, and a demilitarized zone along the Persis Void border." Vega paused, allowing the terms to register. "These terms are non-negotiable. You have 5 hours to accept them formally. If you refuse, or if you attempt any military action, we will demonstrate why your ancestors feared us enough to attempt our extinction." The transmission ended. In the Grand Assembly, silence reigned for several moments before erupting into a cacophony of voices. High Chancellor Soren raised his hands again, struggling to restore order. Finally, he activated his ceremonial sonics, producing a tone that commanded attention through both volume and harmonic resonance. "Council members, representatives, we face a pivotal moment in Commonwealth history," he declared once silence had returned. "These humans have every right to demand our complete surrender if they ask only for recognition and security. I see wisdom in this, not weakness." He turned to Archivist Primus. "Would you concur, Revered One?" The ancient being's crystalline form brightened as he spoke. "Their restraint is unexpected, given what was done to them. Perhaps this suggests that the fears which drove our ancestors to such extreme measures were unfounded. Perhaps humanity possesses wisdom our predecessors could not recognize." Diplomatic Minister Celine stepped forward. "Chancellor, I propose we accept these terms immediately. Every aspect is reasonable in the alternative." She gestured toward the displays showing the human fleet's formation. Ambassador Krell rose to object, but before he could speak, another communication alert sounded. Admiral Torres reappeared on the central display, his expression grave. "Chancellor, we're detecting energy buildups across the human fleet. Our analysts believe they're preparing weapons systems. We need a decision." Hexerin looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes of each council member in turn. He saw fear, uncertainty, and in some, resignation. "We will not require a formal vote," he declared. "As High Chancellor, I accept responsibility for this decision. Signal our acceptance of the human terms, complete and unconditional." 5 hours later, representatives from the Commonwealth met with Admiral Vega and her staff aboard a neutral station in orbit around Action Prime. The meeting was broadcast across Commonwealth space, ensuring that the truth, so long hidden, would finally be known by all. As High Chancellor Soren signed the Treaty of Recognition, formally acknowledging humanity's right to exist and establishing permanent diplomatic relations, he felt a strange mixture of shame for the past and hope for the future. "This is not surrender," he told his people in an address following the signing. "This is correction, the beginning of atonement for a great wrong committed long ago. We will learn from humanity, not fear them. We will build alongside them, not against them. And perhaps, in time, we will understand why our ancestors feared them so much that they tried to erase them from existence rather than face them as equals." Admiral Vega, standing beside him during the address, nodded slightly before adding her own words. "Humanity does not seek dominance or vengeance. We seek only to take our rightful place among the stars, a place that was nearly stolen from us. We have survived in isolation, rebuilding, remembering, preparing. Now we choose to move forward rather than look back." As news of the treaty spread throughout Commonwealth space, reactions varied from outrage to relief. Some feared that acknowledging such a dark chapter in their history would weaken the Commonwealth's standing among other galactic powers. Others believed that confronting this truth would strengthen their civilization in the long run. For most ordinary citizens, however, the revelation that humans were real, not myths or legends, but living beings with their own complex civilization, inspired fascination rather than fear. Messages began flooding the newly established diplomatic channels, requesting cultural exchanges, scientific cooperation, and historical records. Humanity, for its part, remained cautious but engaged. Their fleet maintained its presence at key points throughout Commonwealth space, a reminder of their military capacity. Yet they also sent scholars, scientists, and cultural ambassadors to major Commonwealth worlds, beginning the long process of reintroduction. 6 months after the Treaty of Recognition, joint human Commonwealth research teams announced their first major breakthrough, a new propulsion system combining Commonwealth gravitic technology with human innovations in plasma containment. The system promised to reduce interstellar travel times by nearly 40%, opening vast new regions of the galaxy for exploration. At the announcement ceremony, High Chancellor Xoran stood alongside Admiral Vega, both watching as scientists from their respective civilizations explained the technical details of their collaboration. "Perhaps this is why our ancestors feared you so much," Xoran remarked quietly. "Not because you were threatening, but because you make everyone around you evolve faster." Vega smiled faintly. "Evolution can be uncomfortable, Chancellor, but it's always necessary." As the ceremony concluded, news arrived from the Persis Void border. The first Commonwealth exploration vessel had been granted permission to enter human space, carrying diplomats, scientists, and historians eager to learn about the civilization that had survived extinction to become legends, and then returned to rewrite history. The galaxy would never be the same, and perhaps both sides reflected that was exactly as it should be. Shadows of the past. 1 year after the Treaty of Recognition, the Commonwealth exploration vessel Horizon Seeker drifted in high orbit above Earth, humanity's ancestral homeworld. Captain Lyra Zenth stood on the observation deck, her 4 eyes taking in the blue-green planet below. Despite having visited hundreds of worlds across the galaxy, she found herself unusually moved by the sight. "Beautiful, isn't it?" said a voice behind her. Lyra turned to find Admiral Helena Vega approaching, dressed in the formal dark blue uniform of the Earth Defense Force, rather than her usual battle attire. "It is," Lyra agreed. "Different from what I expected." "What did you expect?" "Something more fortified. A military world. Instead, I see oceans, forests, cities that appear to prioritize aesthetics alongside function." Lyra's skin shifted to a contemplative shade of blue-green. The history suggested humans were primarily warriors. Vega laughed softly. "Written by those who only saw us in war. A common mistake." She gestured toward the planet. "We had 9 centuries to rebuild after the separation. We could have transformed Earth into a fortress world, dedicated every resource to military advancement. Many argued for exactly that. Instead, we chose balance." Below them, the planet rotated slowly, revealing the sprawling megacities of the North American continent, their architecture a striking blend of efficiency and beauty. Massive environmental reclamation zones covered what had once been barren regions, the result of centuries of terraforming efforts to heal damage from both the ancient war and humanity's earlier environmental missteps. "Your delegation will be the first non-humans to set foot on Earth since the separation," Vega continued. "Many of my people are apprehensive, as are many in the Commonwealth about humans entering our core worlds," Lyra acknowledged. "Fear has deep roots, which is why this exchange matters." Vega turned from the viewport to face the Commonwealth captain directly. "Our civilizations need to see each other as we truly are, not as our ancestors' propaganda portrayed us." Lyra nodded, but before she could respond, her communication implant chimed. "Captain, we're detecting unusual energy signatures from the 3rd lunar base," reported her first officer. "Human authorities are requesting we delay our landing." Vega's expression hardened instantly. "Excuse me," she said, activating her own communication device and stepping away. Lyra watched as the Admiral engaged in an intense, whispered conversation. The transformation was remarkable. Moments ago, Vega had been a thoughtful diplomat. Now she radiated the focused intensity of a commander receiving troubling intelligence. When Vega returned, her face was carefully neutral. "Captain Zenth, I apologize, but we need to postpone the Earth landing by 24 hours. A minor security concern has arisen." Of course, Lyra replied smoothly, though her skin betrayed her curiosity by shifting to a questioning pattern of purple and gold. "Anything my crew can assist with?" "No." Vega's response came too quickly. She paused, then added, "It's an internal matter. Please enjoy the orbital tour of the Sol system we've arranged in the meantime." After Vega departed, Lyra returned to the viewport, her gaze now fixed on Earth's moon and the barely visible human installations that dotted its surface. Something had disturbed the Admiral greatly, something she didn't want Commonwealth visitors to know about. Despite the diplomatic warming between their civilizations, trust remained fragile. Lyra made a mental note to have her science team conduct passive scans of the lunar bases. The Commonwealth had agreed to open their historical archives, but it seemed humanity still kept secrets of their own. Deep beneath the surface of Luna Base Artemis, General Marcus Chen stared at the holographic display with mounting dread. The ancient containment chamber's power fluctuations were increasing in both frequency and amplitude. How long have these anomalies been occurring? He demanded. Dr. Eliana Reyes, head of Project Nemesine, wiped sweat from her forehead before answering. The first minor fluctuations were detected 3 months ago. We adjusted the containment parameters and stabilized the system, but in the past 72 hours, a pattern has changed. It's becoming resistant to our corrections. Resistant. Chen's voice sharpened. It's a piece of technology, Doctor, not a living organism. With respect, General, we don't know exactly what it is. Reyes gestured to the secure chamber visible through the reinforced observation window. Inside, suspended in a complex array of energy fields, floated what appeared to be a simple black cube, roughly 30 centimeters on each side. Its surface absorbed light in a way that made it difficult to focus on directly. The artifact predates our contact with the Concord, Reyes continued. Our ancestors found it during their first expansion beyond the solar system. Some scientists of that era believe studying it accelerated our technological development by centuries. Others warned it was too dangerous to utilize. I've read the history, Doctor, Chen cut in impatiently. What I need to know is whether it poses an immediate threat to security, especially with Commonwealth representatives in orbit. Reyes hesitated. The energy signatures it's emitting now, they're similar to what was recorded just before the Concord launched their extermination campaign against us. The observation room fell silent as the implications sank in. The artifact had been humanity's most closely guarded secret for over a millennium, a relic of unknown origin with properties that defied conventional physics. Some historical accounts suggested the Concord had attacked humanity not out of fear of natural human advancement, but because they had detected the artifact's energy signature and recognized it. Admiral Vega needs to be informed, Chen said finally, and the Security Council. What about the Commonwealth delegation? Asked Reyes. Ken's expression hardened. They learned nothing. As far as they're concerned, this is a minor technical issue with the lunar power grid. If the Concord tried to wipe us out because of the artifact, we can't risk history repeating itself. As he spoke, the black cube in the containment chamber pulsed almost imperceptibly, and the monitoring systems recorded another spike in energy output. Back aboard the Horizon Seeker, Science Officer Tellis studied the sensor readings with growing fascination. These energy signatures don't match anything in our database, he told Captain Lyra. They're emanating from the largest lunar installation, but they're partially masked by some kind of dampening field. Could it be a weapon system? Lyra asked, mindful of the Commonwealth's continuing security concerns about human military capabilities. I don't think so, Tellis replied, his extended sensory filaments vibrating with excitement. The pattern is too complex, too elegant. This resembles the theoretical models for transdimensional resonance that our physicists have been working on for centuries. Lyra considered this information carefully. Protocol dictated that she report these findings to Commonwealth High Command immediately. Yet doing so might damage the fragile trust being built between their civilizations. If humans were concealing advanced technology, they likely had reasons rooted in their historical trauma. Continue passive monitoring, she decided, but limit access to these findings to senior staff only. Captain, Tellis hesitated. There's something else. When I cross-referenced these energy patterns with historical archives, I found a partial match. From where? From the restricted files we recently gained access to, the original Concord records of their first encounters with humanity. Similar energy signatures were detected from human worlds shortly before the authorization for the extinction campaign. A chill ran through Lyra's neural network. Are you suggesting the humans possessed this technology even before the separation? That it might have been the true reason for the attempted genocide? The data is fragmentary, Tellis cautioned, but the correlation is difficult to dismiss. Lyra turned back to the viewport, watching as Earth's night side came into view, city lights tracing human civilization across the darkness. Keep this information secure, she ordered. I need to speak with Admiral Vega, carefully. The emergency meeting of the Earth Defense Force Security Council convened virtually with representatives joining from bases throughout the Sol system. Admiral Vega's hologram materialized in the central position, her expression grave. The artifact's containment is deteriorating, she began without preamble. Dr. Reyes believes we have less than 48 hours before a cascading system failure. Can we relocate it? Asked Fleet Admiral Takahashi from Mars Command. Negative, responded Dr. Reyes. In its current state, any attempt to move the artifact could trigger an immediate energy release. What about the Commonwealth vessel? Security Director Santos interjected. Their sensors are sophisticated. They may have already detected something. Then we need to get them out of the system, Takahashi argued. create a diplomatic incident if necessary, and confirm their worst fears about us, Vega countered. After centuries of isolation, we're finally establishing relations with the galaxy again. We can't throw that away. Better diplomatic setbacks than existential risk, Santos insisted. If the artifact destabilizes completely within present, we won't just lose our secrecy, we lose Earth. The debate continued, growing increasingly heated until a junior communications officer interrupted with an urgent message. Admiral Vega, Captain Lyra Zenth of the Horizon Seeker is requesting an immediate private conference. She says it concerns transdimensional resonance technologies and their historical implications. Silence fell across the virtual council chamber. They know, someone whispered. Veva closed her eyes briefly, weighing options that all seemed equally dangerous. When she opened them again, her decision was made. History doesn't need to repeat itself, she said firmly. Perhaps it's time for honesty. Director Santos, prepare a security team to escort Captain Zenth to Luna Base Artemis. Dr. Reyes, assemble your research team for a full briefing. Admiral, Takahashi objected, the artifact has been humanity's most closely guarded secret for a millennium. We can't just. The secret has already compromised. Vega cut him off, and keeping it drove our civilizations to the brink of extinction once before. I won't let that happen again. She stood straighter, her resolve evident even through the holographic projection. The Commonwealth needs to understand what we're dealing with, because if the artifact's containment fails completely, this won't just be humanity's problem. The entire galaxy will face the consequences. As the Security Council reluctantly agreed to her plan, alerts began sounding throughout Luna Base Artemis. The artifact's energy emissions had just doubled in intensity, and the containment field was beginning to fracture. Whatever secret lay at the heart of humanity's long isolation, it would remain hidden no longer. The question now was whether two formerly antagonistic civilizations could cooperate to address a threat neither fully understood, a threat that had nearly driven one to eradicate the other once before. In orbit above Earth, Captain Lyra received Admiral Vega's invitation to the lunar base with mixed emotions. She had sought answers, but something in the Admiral's tone suggested she might soon wish she hadn't. As the shuttle prepared for departure, Lyra found herself contemplating the complex relationship between knowledge and safety, between truth and peace. The humans had a saying she recalled from her cultural briefings. Be careful what you wish for. As the shuttle descended toward the lunar surface and the secret it contained, those words echoed ominously in her mind.